What's good, YouTube? It's Jake Games 1022 here, and today I'm going to bring you my Yu-Gi-Oh! Nordic deck profile. I want to start off by saying I'm sorry I haven't uploaded in a while. I've been really, really busy. I graduated from high school in May. I've been traveling a lot, and now I'm working a bit, so yeah, so sorry about that. But with that out of the way, let's get into the deck profile. So I play 3 Garms of the Nordic Beasts, and what people don't realize about this card is it's essentially a Grand Mole for level 4 and below, so it's really good to clear the monster zones or the field quicker. I also play 3 Tengekshnar of the Nordic Beasts. What he does is if one of your cards gets destroyed, or he can be special summoned if that happens, but if he's flipped from face down or defense mode to attack mode, you get to special summon any Nordic Beast card from your deck in defense mode. I play 2 Tengekshnirs of the Nordic Beasts. What he does is when he's destroyed by battle, he summons 2 level 3 tokens to the field. So it makes really good access to uh, level 10 synchro summons, which is what this deck revolves around. And for the tuners of the Nordic Beasts, I play 3 gold facts of the Nordic Beasts. His ability in this format is kind of bland because he can be special summoned from the hand when your opponent has a synchro on the field. So most of the time, he's going to be special summoned by Tengekshnar, or he's just going to be normal summoned. I play 3 Lizovs of the Nordic Alfar. This is a very fun card to mess with the opponent with, because what happens is, so say you have one of him on the field and you have a Goldfax on the board, he can say, okay, I have level 4 on the board, so now I can special summon a level 4 or below from my hand. But he can't target himself to use that ability. I play 1 Diverg of the Nordic Alfar. Most people don't know this card because it's not really considered good, but it's really good in this deck because what it does is, so when he's normal summoned, he gets to play another card. So I can play him, go into him, use his ability if I have another monster on the field, because you can't target level 1 in this deck. But normally what I'll do is I'll go from Diverg, I'll play Diverg, tribute him, and summon this next card, Svartrop of the Nordic Alfar, which with his ability I can retrieve Diverg back to my hand, and on the next turn I can say summon, and I can make my level 10 synchro summon. And I also play 1 Mara of the Nordic Alfar, which lets me do level 10 synchro summons from the hand. The only requirement is I have to have Nordic materials, so it's actually really good. I play 2 Vanities of the Nordic Ascendant. This card is still fairly new to me in my Nordic deck because I started with the Nordic deck originally, and then I moved to Photons and said it's time for me to sell my Nordic deck. And then as soon as 5D's collection came out and I saw the prices drop, I said, maybe I should get back into Nordics. And ever since then, my deck has changed. So, and this card has been one of my new cards, and I've loved it since. So Vanitas of the Nordic Ascendant, basically, you can use it to summon Odin, but it can copy a level of any tuner in your deck if you discard that level, but it can also copy the name of any tuner by for free. It copies the name for free. I play one Valkyrie of the Nordic Ascendant. This card is kind of like Cyber Dragon in a way, which I haven't seen much of this format because I duel the same people. So what are you gonna do? Cyber Dragon. Most people know what Cyber Dragon does. Special summon it if your opponent controls a monster or a monster and you have none. The Valkyrie of the Nordic Ascendant works a bit differently, but similar in the same way. It's you can normal summon this card, but if your opponent controls nothing on the field except a monster, you basically say banish 2 Nordic cards from your hand. You get 2 level 4 tokens, and you can automatically go into Odin. So that's why I only play 1. And for the final 2 cards, I play 1 God of the Nordic Serpent and 1 Fenrir of the Nordic Wolf. As the only Nordic God player in my locals, which is Galactic Quest in the Lawrenceville location, it's very hard for people, I guess, some people to understand why I play these cards, and it's because of the amazing loop these cards have. The loop is, if you control a Nordic god, so Thor, Loki, or Odin, you can say, okay, I'm summoning Jormungand to my opponent's side of the field, and the wolf to my opponent's side of the field. What this essentially does is, if you leave Jormungand in defense mode, you say end turn. If they go to their battle phase, Wolf's ability will activate, forcing all monsters into attack mode. Jormungand will switch to attack mode, Jormungand's ability will activate, and your opponent will automatically take 3,000 points of direct damage. So it can be a game changer. And then Wolf's ability is, if he ever attacks a monster, both players take damage. So he's kind of a flame wingman in a way. So that's it for the monsters. Spell cards. I play 3 Mystical Space Typhoons. Self-explanatory. I don't want to deal with backer a lot. I play 2 Forbidden Chalice because Forbidden Chalice can actually help out in a lot of situations because I'm gaining 400 attack points, but negating my effects or my opponent's effects. One of the funniest things I've ever done with this card is I've dueled a Skull Servant deck, and I've had this card set, and the King of the Skull Servant, would get to 8,000, and I would say, activate on your Skull Servant, completely shut his effect off, forcing him from 8,000 to 400. I play 2 Pot of Dichotomies. This is another one of the new cards in this deck, and it actually works out really well because if I'm ever at a point when I have one of the 3 gods on the field, I can just say, okay, Pot of Dichotomy, and get like 3 cards back from my graveyard, being monsters, of course. But the catch with this card is they have to be different type of monsters. And when I say type, I don't mean attribute. They can't be 3 dark types or 1 dark and earth and a light. No, they have to be 1 beast, 1 warrior, and a spellcaster, for example. But if I do that, I can't conduct battle, but I do get to draw 2 cards. So it's like Pot of Greed in a way, because I'm adding 3 cards back to my deck. I play 1 Pot of Duality, self-explanatory reasons, but I only play 1 because this is a special summon deck. I don't want to hurt myself more than I help myself. Plus the draw power is really needed. And then for the final spell, I play 1 Dark Hole. Dark Hole is just really nice because if I don't open well, I will just say set 5 or set however many, and essentially I'll just clear the board with Dark Hole, and then I'll make my move. And then for the traps, this is my favorite trap in the deck. I don't know why I haven't gone to 3 yet, but I played 2 Nordic Relic Brisingham. Essentially what this card is it's Nordic's version of Copycat. For all the original players of Yu-Gi-Oh!, Copycat was the card where it copied anything on the board. And this card does that. What it does is, if I have a monster on my field like Garm of the Nordic Beasts with 800 attack points, this card would activate when you declared an attack with something like Starish Dragon. It would say, my Garm copies the attack points of your Starish Dragon. So this card basically makes it a stalemate, and 9 times out of 10, people just let it go through. They don't stop their attacks. 2 called the Haunted. This card is a miracle in this deck, because with how the gods work is you have to banish tuners from your graveyard to keep resurrecting them and getting their effects off. But this card can also revive the gods from the graveyard free of cost. Sure, you won't get the effect off, but you'll get a very strong monster off back. Or the tuners, if they're not banished. 1 Solemn Authority, because Solemn Authority is a unique card to the gods. If you activate it, you can protect one of them for 2 turns. They would not be affected by any type of card until your second standby phase after activation of that card. I play 1 Golden Apples because this is essentially the Gores of the deck, believe it or not. It's a trap monster, level 1. Its attack points and its defense points are determined about how much damage you deal to me. So if I have that card, if I have the Golden Apple set, and you attack me for 4,000 points of damage, I have to take the 4,000 points of damage, but then I activate Golden Apples. I get a level 1 monster with 4,000 attack and defense points, and then the second ability of Golden Apples activates, letting me regain all the life points you just dealt to me. I play 1 Gleipnir Fetters of Fenrir. Now, if you're a Nordic God player, don't get mad at me why I'm only playing 1. I just think 3 or 2 might be too cloggy. This is essentially the Rhoda of the deck. It lets me get any Nordic card from my deck to my hand. 1 Wiretap, self-explanatory. I don't want to be dealing with Solemn, Mirror Force, Call the Haunted, Scrap Iron Scarecrow, stuff like that. Last but not least, Solemn Warning. Solemn Warning, another self-explanatory card. I don't want to deal with like all these big monsters like Quilthorpes, Burning Abyss, Necros, stuff like that. So that's the main deck. And then, before I go to my side deck, I'm just going to show 2 cards that I used to have in my side deck. And I'd like to know your suggestions, if you would recommend putting them back in the deck or not. So the first one is TG Hyper Librarian, which most people know what he does. Whenever I can successfully synchro summon after him being played, I get to draw an additional card. And the second card is Samsara, Dragon of Rebirth. The best way I can describe this card is a monster reborn. When Samsara is destroyed, I can special summon anything from either player's graveyard. So if you would like to leave a comment recommending if I should put those cards back in my extra deck and what to replace, please let me know. So now for the extra deck, and I'll just make a quick side note, there is no side deck for this. I am not a player who uses side decks. So anyway, I play 1 Goyle Guardian because, you know, in this day and age, no one sees it anymore, so I like to kind of throw my opponents off guard, and when I attack, I like to kind of steal their monsters from them, because it would make it quicker for me to synchro summon with. For level 7s, I play 2 Black Rose Dragons, because nuking the board, kind of have to do it now. It's more fun, but It just puts more cards in my opponent's graveyard. For level 8s, I play 2 Stardust Dragons. Most people would only play 1 of this, but I think 2 is a bit more cautious because, in my personal opinion, I don't think this deck needs Clear Wing Synchro Dragon, and most people will disagree with me, but I think Stardust works better. I play 1 Red Dragon Archfiend because Red Dragon Archfiend just will destroy all my opponent's defenses, and my goal with this deck is to get to life points as quick as possible. I play 1 Crimson Blader. Crimson Blader is an amazing card. I would recommend any Synchro player play this card, because Crimson Blader, if he can successfully destroy a monster by battle, he can automatically say to your opponent, okay, you can't summon or special summon level 5 or higher next turn. So a 2800 attack monster that says that upon destroying a monster, I would definitely play it, especially in this format. I play 1 Scrap Dragon because of its secondary effect, where if I have any card on the field and you do too, I target 1 card of mine, 1 card of yours, destroying both. Now for the ace cards of the deck. I play 2 Thor, Lord of the Aesirs. So what Thor does, this was the ace card of Drayden in Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds. This card was one of the top 3, obviously, of Team Ragnarok. And Thor is a card that says, during my turn, I can shut down all of my opponent's monster effects. And then his second ability is, when he's destroyed by battle or card effects, I can banish a Nordic Beast Tuner from my graveyard, and during the end phase, he gets revived, and my opponent takes 800 points of damage. I play 2 Lokis. Again, I think, from what I've seen, most people either play Loki or they don't play Loki, just because they think Odin and Thor are the better of the 2, which I guess I understand, but Loki's got a better ability for your turn in general than Thor does, even though he's weaker. But anyway, so on the anime, Loki was the ace card of Broder, and Loki is a 3300 attack point monster whose ability reads, during my turn, when I declare an attack, if you activate a trap or spell card, I can negate and destroy 1 that you activate. So if you activate Mirror Force when I attack with Loki, if he's the only attack position monster on my field, Loki's ability will automatically activate, destroying Mirror Force and negating it. His ability when he gets destroyed is similar to Thor's and Odin's, if he's destroyed by battle or card effects, I banish a Nordic Alfar tuner, and he comes back to my field, like Thor and Odin will, but he brings a trap card back to my hand. This is the reason I only play 1 Glitnir Fetters of Fenrir, because if I can keep recycling that card, there's no reason to play 2 or 3. It'll just slow me down quicker. Last but not least, I play 2 Odins. Odin is the ace card of Haldor. Yes, you can comment that I'm a nerd about Team Ragnarok. I grew up with that, and I would rewatch those episodes constantly. Odin is the best card in this deck, hands down. He's got an amazing ability. His ability is, during my turn, I can make him invincible, pretty much. He can't get affected by spells, and he can't get affected by traps. The only way you can possibly touch Odin is with hand traps. So if I'm playing a light deck against a light deck like Light Sworns, the only thing that could possibly affect me then would be Honest. or Effect Veiler. But that's if you timed it before I used my ability. His Destruction ability is when he's destroyed by battle or by card effect, I banish a Nordic Ascendant tuner from my graveyard. He gets resurrected in onto my field. Excuse me. And he lets me draw one card. So when he gets destroyed and special summon back to my field, I'm essentially +3 because I'm getting a 4,000 beater onto my field, drawing an additional card, and then starting my turn and drawing another card. And my final synchro is Star Eater. I play Star Eater in Nordics because it's a 3,200 attack point monster with the ability that when it's summoned, you cannot negate its summon. So essentially, with that part alone, I'm already saying you can't Solemn Warning me, so I have a free monster on my field. But then, when I declare an attack, he's got the Ancient Gear ability. So, for anyone who doesn't know what the Ancient Gear ability is, the Ancient Gear ability is when he declares an attack, my opponent cannot respond with spells or traps. So, I don't understand why someone wouldn't play something as strong as this in their deck. But maybe it's just because they don't know if they wanted to. But it's personal opinion. I personally think I would try it if I were you, if you were a Nordic God player. So that's about it. And this is Jake Games 1022. Make sure to like, favorite, subscribe, and comment. And I will see you guys next time. Peace.